Comment, like, and subscribe. We're going for 55K, comic fam. Let's chat about the hottest comics in the world. Feeling refreshed, comic fam. Just flew back in from Hawaii. Mahalo. But we got to talk about some hot comic books, the ones that are defining this generation of collectors. How you feeling, Jem?
I'm feeling great. Welcome back. We missed you out here on YouTube.
I can't be gone for too long, Jem. The comic books be moving at the list at number 10. We got Daredevil number 1 to talk about.
A book that took the world by surprise last year when it had huge record-breaking sales. Back on the list, coming in at number 10, but we got a few record breakers to report on. The third highest sale posted this week ever in both a 3.5 and a 4.0. A CGC 1.5 went from $2,795 back in December, up now 14%, selling for $3,200.
First appearance of Foggy Nelson and Karen Page. We have Yellow Daredevil. We have Matt Murdock's first appearance in Marvel Comics. We have a 5.0 going for $7,600 back in May, up 3%, now landing at $7,800. Next at the list at number 9, Amazing Spider-Man 31, the first appearance of Harry Osborn, the first appearance of Gwen Stacy.
And a triple key being that it's the first appearance of Professor Miles Warren, who would later become the Jackal and be responsible for the Clone Saga. Plus, you got a very unique Steve Ditko cover.
This is the first time Dr. Octopus goes by the name The Master Planner, and both the 3.0 and the 4.0 are actually on an upward trend in as little as 30 days, both seeing a 10 to 15% increase in price this month.
Master Planner. Talk about a nickname that didn't stick. Then we got the CGC 7.0, which sold for $1,430 just a few weeks ago, up 1%, but maintaining that same price range, selling for $1,450.
The 8.0 going for $2,400 in January is up 20% this week, now selling for $2,880. Gwen Stacy is a major Marvel character, one of the biggest influences in Peter Parker's life, but also has become one of the most sought out after blue chip modern characters to collect because of Spider-Gwen, which has now put herself in the ranks of Miles Morales in just the last couple years.
And still so much untapped potential there with the Gwen Stacy character. And speaking of Miles Morales, moving on to number 8 on the list, we have Ultimate Comics Spider-Man issue number 1, the first solo series for Miles Morales, and the second appearance of Miles. It's also the first appearance of the Ultimate Prowler, which is his uncle, Conrad Marcus, who later merges with the Venom symbiote. Plus, you have the white poly bag with that red spider emblem.
I feel like newer collectors look at bagged comics as something that's going to preserve those books in high grade, when in reality, you have to go through a whole extra layer to get your hands on the comic to even assess the grade. And I think that process harms books more times than not.
Yeah, polybag doesn't mean it's in gem mint condition. Starting with the direct market editions, a CGC 7.5 sold for just $78 back in April. It's up 86%, now selling for $145. Then we got the CGC 9.0, which sold for $200 back in 2020. That's up 25%, now selling for $250.
Now we have the newsstand to talk about because we have direct comparisons this week in the same grade with drastically different price outcomes. The 7.5 went for $560, and we have no other sales data to compare that to besides the direct market copy that sold this week, $400 less, and it didn't stop there. The 8.0, prior record for a newsstand, went for $350 in September of last year, is up 93% this week, selling for $675. Jem just reported on a grade bump up, a 9.0 direct market copy going for $250. That's a $400 difference between an 8.0 and a 9.0 barcode versus direct. This right here is an anomaly, but it proves a handful of things. The first is that the newsstand effect is indeed here to stay. The other thing that we can learn is that the price hikes are indeed reserved for the high grade copies, 9.6 and 9.8s, within a certain year of comic books coming out. When you get into the modern era, the newsstands make up for as little as 3% or less of the market share. And when you have that low percentage, the scarcity interest, the FOMO kicks in, and that makes it more appealing to own regardless of the condition of the book. And it's proving it here today with Miles.
And shout out to Midhunter Comics for the inspiration on today's thumbnail. Moving on to number 7, we have Amazing Spider-Man 210. Again, the first appearance of Madam Web.
The elderly clairvoyant Spider-Verse character has been on spec radar since 2019 with the announcement that the Morbius writers were tapped to do a rendition of the character for the screen, but it would take years for us to get any updates on this. Many members, I think, thought that this was something that was maybe just rumors and wasn't going to happen, but we were all surprised to see that they have Dakota Johnson, a young female attached to portray the character, also giving more confidence that this isn't going to be a come and go rendition, that we're going to probably see Madam Web for quite some time.
A book that has been #1 multiple times on this list. It continues to show up on the list, and we're going to talk about this CGC 8.5, which sold for $285 just a few weeks ago, now selling for $300. Then we got a 9.2. It sold for $300 just a few weeks ago as well, and that's up 33%, now selling for $400.
And then we got a 9.0. Mark Jeweler selling for $365 with no other previous data to report on. This is a great example about why you have to download Key Collector Comics. Utilize Code Tom 101 on the best comic app in existence. That's going to unlock the app in its entirety, but you're going to get access to a plethora of comic knowledge for free. But you're going to want to use that code because you're going to get things called Key Alerts, notifications when breaking news happens. This is a comic book that you could have been speccing on since 2019, and it's certainly had some lulls. You would have been able to get on it on the ground floor had you downloaded the app and stayed up on the rapidly moving marketplace. Next at the list at number 6, we have Doctor Strange 169 to talk about.
Talk about another book that has been on the list consecutively. This is the 5th week that we're seeing Doctor Strange 169, formerly the Strange Tales book. It's also the first appearance of Charles Benton, who later becomes Asmodeus.
We have the origin retold, a classic cover, and a major moment for Doctor Strange. And we also have seen so much Doctor Strange recently that it's worth mentioning that when you're speccing on a book, you got to look a little beyond the key-worthiness and more about how often we're going to see these actors portray them on the screen. He co-starred the recent Spider-Man No Way Home movie, and now he's getting his solo film here pretty soon. I think having so much Doctor Strange media, toys, and appearances, that right there is adding to the interest in Doctor Strange more and more by the week.
Which is propelling the CGC 3.5 from $290 back in January, up 3%, now selling for $300. Then the 6.0, which sold for $560 back in February, up 10%, now selling for $615.
Then we have the 8.5 going for $1236 in just February, up 21%, now selling for $1,500 as the movie draws near. Next at the list at number 5, a book that I suspect is going to have the same type of interest increase as we get closer to the show. Tomb of Dracula, number 10, the first appearance of Blade.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. This book blew up when it was confirmed that we were going to be getting a Blade movie, but I feel like it's cooled down a lot since then. When there's new trailers, when there's more excitement, we'll see more spikes in this book. But right now, we have a CGC 1.0, which sold for $628 back in December, up 27%, now selling for $800.
With Dracula and Werewolf by Night both rumored for the MCU, clearly supernatural elements being incorporated is something that the producers have in mind for their characters. It only makes Blade more of interest. It's gonna land, and it's gonna land hard when it does. The 4.0 going for $1395 just in January is up 8%, hitting the $1,500 marker. And the 5.5 back in January going for $1,650 is up 9%, now selling for $1,800. Eternals may not have performed very well. However, that ending scene has spiked this book.
Which brings us on to number 4 on the list. Fantastic Four, issue 46, the second appearance of the Inhumans, but more importantly, the first full appearance of Black Bolt. This was actually number 6 on the list last week, and all of the Illuminati rumors are making this book catch heat.
The 2.5 going for $100 in 2020 is looking like a good deal, considering the recent sale up 53% this week, selling for $153. And the 4.5 going for $304 in December is up 12%, now selling for $340. And I can't stress this enough, people were not speccing on this book at all.
Which brings us to the CGC 9.2, a book that sold for $2,040 back in 2015. It's up 82% now, selling for $3,720.
Hot damn, comic fam!
Some big numbers for Black Bolt. Moving on to number 3 on the list, we have The Cat, issue 1.
The origin and first appearance of the Cat debuting in 1972. Yes, this character would go on to become Tigra, but more importantly, the character design and the outfit would be utilized by one of Marvel's first characters they created, like literally during Timely Comics, a children's book, Patsy Walker, who would go on to be reincorporated into Marvel multiple times, a lot of attempts to make her a prominent female lead in the Marvel universe. And it didn't stop in the 90s and the 2000s, because this character would don this costume and become Hellcat, and she is currently in the ongoing Iron Man run right now, and Tony Stark is really interested in her because he's planning on proposing.
Yeah, you're right, Tom. Marvel has tried to utilize Patsy Walker for some time now. I mean, she was even in the Jessica Jones Netflix series, so maybe they're priming her to show up in the MCU. Also, I do think it's very cool how they retconned her into Marvel continuity, being an original, timely character. She's one of the oldest Marvel characters we have.
Keep an eye out in May, because that's when the proposal is being solicited to take place, which would mean a wedding issue is coming soon after. Also, something interesting is that Marvel purchased the trademark for a character called Iron Cat. We know that love interests of Tony Stark tend to don suits he makes. Could we be seeing a new Iron character in the pages of comics? Well, this book spiking makes me think like the collectors believe that to be so. We have a 6.0 going for $80 in 2020, up 88%, selling for $150. A 9.0 going for $400 in July is up 31%, now selling for $525.
And then we have the next grade up, a CGC 9.2, sold for $300 way back in 2016, and that's up 133%, now selling for $700.
If you like what we do, hit the link in the description. Join the March Mystery Mail Call, one per box. I've teamed up with Whatnot to make not just a trade dress, but a virgin cover of Silver Surfer Rebirth #1, cover art done by Raph Grassetti. Virgins being sent out at random. We appreciate Whatnot for making that a reality. And next at the list, at number 2, Strange Tales 111, the second appearance of Doctor Strange, the first appearance of Baron Mordo, and another first appearance that I love hearing Jem say by name.
The first appearance of the deadly Asbestos Man.
With Baron Mordo set to appear in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, it makes sense that this triple key has 3 different records to report on this week. The 3.0 went for $312 back in March, now up 36% since the trailer dropped, now selling for $425.
The CGC 4.5 sold for $661 back in December, and that's up 21%, now selling for $800.
And then we got the 5.0 going for $650 in December, up 19%, now selling for $775. Comic fam, hit the like, slap the subscribe. Let me know what you think about the video. Help us reach that 55K milestone, and it'll enter you to win this Omni-Man Tyler Kirkham Invincible #1 Whatnot exclusive. And Jem, hit him with the hottest book in the multiverse.
You know this book is hot when it has way more than 3 record-breaking sales to report on. Not only are we going to talk about Ghost Rider #1, the first solo series for Ghost Rider, but we're also going to talk about his first appearance as well.
Ghost Rider 1, the first solo series featuring Ghost Rider, the first cameo appearance of Damian Hellstrom, who, by the way, would marry Hellcat at one point. Is there a connection? No, not really, but it's important to mention it because you got to know your comic books. We have a 4.0 back in November going for $415, up 8%, now selling for $450. A 5.0 going for $560 in October, up 61%, now selling for $899. Jem, this is all because of concept art and rumors, Norman Reedus, and just because Ghost Rider is beloved by many.
And me being one of them. The CGC 7.5 sold for $830 back in February. It's up 2%, selling for $850, still hasn't caught up to the 5.0 yet, so you got to keep an eye on that book. Then we have the 9.2, which sold for $1,850 in July. That's up 7%, selling for $1,977.
That's a tough book in high grade, that black cover, and it was hot when it came out, so a lot of people read it, and it didn't stop there because we have the first appearance in Marvel Spotlight 5 to discuss, a 4.0 going for $1,600 in just January, is up 13%, now selling for $1,800.
And then the 5.5, selling for $2,200 back in January, up 2%, selling for $2,248.
Johnny Blaze, really the supernatural characters taking over the list this week. We got to know your thoughts in the comment section below. And, as always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said. Jem, where can they find us every single Wednesday?
That's right, you can find us on Whatnot every Wednesday starting at 2 p.m. Pacific. Yours truly kicks off the events with 8 hours of comic book auctions. I'm actually doing a huge omnibus and collected edition sale this Wednesday, so make sure to download the app and be there.
Dollar start auctions that last as little as 60, 30, 20, and 15 seconds long. We appreciate your time today. Follow us on Whatnot and enjoy these other videos that we made because we made them for you. Have a great week.